Hi, good morning, friends. This is a common Indian. This is an Aam Aadmi, as they say it, in the media parlance or everywhere across India. I pose a question in front of you that, do you think as a common Indian, India needs an healthcare regulator? When I say healthcare regulator, something on the lines which are prevalent in developed countries and developed economies, precisely because, whenever you don't have an healthcare regulator monitoring the healthcare sector, comprising of players from the private and the public sector, who is accountable for the decisions being made therein? What happens if a wrong decision or a medical negligence leads to the death of a patient? Where does a common man go to? Does everyone have the wherewithal to go for legal recourse? And if at all the matters are escalated to the state level or to the central level, the federal level of Indian government, whether they are proactive, to respond to such cases, probably because they might be getting millions of those, if not millions, at least a few hundreds, because it needs a lot of time, and it also needs the concerned sufferer to know how to escalate issues. So, going by my first-hand experience across India in treating, while getting treatment for my relatives, friends, well-wishers, I strongly felt that it's high time that the government of India should decide on having an healthcare regulatory authority, something on the lines of, which we have in telecom and which we have in the insurance sector. This is all the more important because healthcare happens to be a necessity, and it's needed by the masses, not only by the classes. And on the top of it, you have a lot of private nursing homes and corporate hospitals, mushrooming all across the country. I mean, who is watching them? Who is looking into the consumers? I'm using the word consumer, even though I should not use it, but let me say the end user, the end user who is looking into the end user's interest, whether things are going on as it should be, or probably there are a lot of anomalies in the processes, anomalies in the structure, a lot of red tapes and bureaucrats, or probably preferential treatments being given if there is any kind of recommendation coming from VVIPs or coming from some strong sources. I guess the common man is made to suffer a lot, because that's what I had been experiencing at a different point in time, and there had been tragic episodes as well. So I guess it's high time for the government of India and even the state governments of different states and union territories to decide on this important aspect, because if there is a case of medical negligence, then I guess the people who are responsible for this heinous act should be treated accordingly, like it happens in the advanced economies, advanced countries of the world. But simply because there is no regulator who is monitoring, there is no auditing bodies, and even the accreditation agencies, which are accrediting hospitals and nursing homes and healthcare centers on different parameters, are those accreditation being observed, thoroughly by a regulatory body, so that, it's only the hospital or the healthcare center which provides the right kind of treatment and which looks into the benefit of the major stakeholder, that's the patient, is being taken care of? Or it's just like paying money and getting accreditation, and then and what about the advertisements hospitals comes out with, or doctors comes out with in different newspapers, portraying different complicated cases being resolved by that concerned hospital? I mean, these would be music to the common man, because common man does not have much knowledge when it comes to the medical sciences. Even though you have Google these days, and with a bare minimum of understanding of medical facts and figures, one can sift through a lot of information and can at least have the preliminary idea about the ailments or the diseases being suffered by him or her, or his or her relatives and well-wishers, that in fact to take the discussion with the doctors and the paramedical staff on a different pedestal. And I guess that's highly recommended, because in a country like India, where ignorance is very high when it comes to medical sciences, I guess the end user are always, at the mercy of the people who are treating them. And I have personally seen a lot of people who are into the healthcare sector who never wants to get probed, or kind of, put forth answers to the questions of the patient or that of the relative. I mean, this is something which happens to be a prerequisite for a successful healthcare professional, whether he is a medic or a paramedic. And the more the questions, it's better for the overall industry. So it's high time, I guess, when the government of India should think about having, a healthcare regulator in place with, stakeholders from different walks of life, because you need people from different walks of life, not only the medical professional. And the common saying that, because it's a medical case, a common man would not understand anything, should be thrown out of the window. And you need to have people from the common walk of life, a person representing the society. You could have some legal professionals up there. You can definitely have, people from the world of media, because they are the ones who are putting across different kinds of messages to the common man. You also need to have a lot of non-governmental organizations who are working for the welfare of the common people. The charity organizations who might be funding different funding bodies, and you need to have representatives of the people from the state level as well as the federal level. So basically, these healthcare regulatory body I am proposing, I had written a lot about this, but there had been no response so far as India thinking on those lines, because you open any of the local vernacular dailies or even the national dailies, I mean, that goes without saying, you will find at least one off case which talks about some, accidental death or some allegations regarding medical negligence that has led to the death of a patient, or unscrupulous billings, unethical business practices happening in some or the other hospices across the country in India. So that's really worrisome from the perspective of a common man. And then when everything happens, where does he go and what does he do? How does he resolve his matter? How the victims are compensated? Does he have the skillful resource to approach the court, and then the case running for years together to get a verdict? And what about the criminals? What about the people who have been minting money right, left and center from the poor hapless patients? And mind you, in a country like India, there is only a bare minimum of the population who are aware or who have health insurance in place. And then again, even though they might be having health insurance, are the hospitals trying to judiciously take money from the insurance companies, or they just think that because this person is insured, we need to mint money right, left and center? This kind of things and many others needs to be given a deep thought. And my request to the lawmakers is to consider this, because it's high time that India needs to have a regulatory body in place as far as the healthcare sector is concerned. There are a lot of instances that are happening, and this goes unnoticed. Probably if there is a hue and cry made in the media, then, there are some quick fix kind of solutions given by the regulators, the so-called regulators now. But does it have the long-term lasting solution? Time to ponder. Ladies and gentlemen, I would urge you to let me know through your comments that whether you really think it's needed that a country like India should have a quality and quantity based regulatory authority for healthcare, because after all it deals with the people of India, the common man of India, what we'll refer as Aam Aadmi. So Aam Aadmi should not suffer at the hands of any powerful crooks who are into the business of healthcare. It's high time. I want your comments back, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers.